Hi everyone, my name is Matt Richardson and welcome to GTP TV. Today we're going to talk about self-managed super funds and why you might consider running your own self-managed super fund. Over the last 5 to 10 years there's been an explosion in the prevalence of self-managed super funds for many reasons. Today we'll have a look at a few of the reasons why you might consider running your own fund, but we'll also look at some of the obligations and responsibilities that go with that. So just quickly, some of the main reasons people run their own fund is firstly for control. Most people want to take control over what they do with their own assets, and over the past 5 years especially, where the performance of superannuation funds has been reasonably poor, people like to take that decision away from the investment managers and take it on themselves. Secondly, people can invest in assets that they otherwise couldn't invest in by having their own fund. Some examples of that are people can invest in direct property. People can even invest in commercial property, such as using their own farmland or even some commercial premises. And in a lot of cases, obviously, you can't do that in a public offer fund or in a life offer superannuation fund. Thirdly, people have got their own assets, such as listed shares on the Australian stock market, and also their own commercial property, which includes farmland. They can actually transfer these assets into their own fund if the right circumstances are there. Fourthly, there are potential savings in running your own fund. Generally, to address the compliance requirements of your own fund, generally these are flat fee costs during the year. So obviously, the more assets you've got in your fund, the less expense as a percentage of those assets for those compliance costs. So there are potential savings. So the more assets you've got, the less, in effect, in a percentage term, it costs to run your fund. A couple of other reasons: asset protection. Anything you've got in your own fund, any assets you've got, especially if you've got business assets in your own fund, this is the ultimate asset protection vehicle. In the event of any action by creditors, normally those assets that you've got inside super are protected from those actions, providing you can establish that those contributions of those assets weren't done as a result of any impending action. Lastly, there's some great estate planning flexibility, so when you're handing on your assets to members of your family upon your death, there's some great options available through a self-managed superannuation fund. So some of the reasons why you may not find a self-managed super fund is right for you, and there's quite a few. The main thing is, if you become a trustee of your own fund, you must know the rules. There's a whole wealth of things that you're responsible for if you do become a trustee of a fund. Some of them are, the trustee must adopt what's called a formal investment strategy. Okay? And that must be done as soon as the fund is set up. Secondly, the fund trustees must understand what's called the sole purpose test. The sole purpose of having a superannuation fund is that the fund must exist for the benefit of either a death benefit, a retirement benefit, or a disability benefit. So you can't use a self-managed fund to help stump your business up if you've got cash flow problems or lend to a family member or something like that. So it definitely must always adhere to the sole purpose test. Other things are, there's record keeping responsibilities. A lot of trustees might get overwhelmed by the amount of paperwork they have to deal with when you run your own fund. So sometimes this isn't a very attractive option for trustees. Lastly, there's costs obviously involved in running your own fund. For some people, the costs and even the savings that are there don't outweigh the benefits there are in running their own fund. So the bottom line is, it's not for everyone. For every client that we've had that started a self-managed fund, we've also cautioned quite a few from running their own fund. In many cases, we've tried to convince some people who we don't think it's for them. So even though your next door neighbour might have one, it's definitely not for everyone. So hopefully this answers some questions you may have into running your own fund. If you've got any further, make sure you come in and see us. We consider ourselves to be the experts in this sort of area. So come and see the team at Green Taylor Partners. Thank you.